Have you ever noticed this strange phenomenon? Many high-level figures around the world often display unusual eye behaviors. For example, some politicians blink frequently and stiffly during speeches, with a range far beyond that of ordinary people. When the camera zooms in, subtle anomalies in eye reflections can even be seen. Some top billionaires, when attending charity galas, deliberately avoid high-definition cameras. Even when staff hand them a phone for close-up filming, they instinctively turn their faces away, using "the light is too harsh" as an excuse to refuse being filmed. There are also well-known entrepreneurs who always wear dark sunglasses in public appearances, never taking them off, even indoors. On rare occasions when media capture the moment they remove their sunglasses, their eyes appear reddened, their gaze rigid, completely lacking the lively sheen of normal human eyes. Are these abnormal behaviors really just coincidences? Or is there an unknown secret hidden behind them? Today, we will dig into a long-circulating hypothesis: the reptilian beings infiltrating the upper levels of human society. The reason they exhibit these abnormal eye behaviors is that they still cannot perfectly disguise human eyes. Their current method of forcibly masking their eyes has brought many side effects. Next, we will take you through the truth behind the reptilian disguise. Many people ask, if reptilians have been able to infiltrate the upper ranks of humanity, it suggests their technological level far surpasses that of humans. So why don't they simply rule humanity directly, instead of going through the trouble of disguising themselves within human society? The answer is simple: they are outnumbered. As an extraterrestrial species, although reptilians possess technology far beyond humans, capable of interstellar travel and advanced disguise, their population is extremely small. According to related hypotheses, the total number of reptilians lurking among the global human elite may be only a few hundred or even fewer. With such limited numbers, if they were to expose themselves directly to humanity, it would inevitably trigger global panic and resistance. In the end, they would likely be targeted and eliminated by a concentrated human response, completely destroying their species' survival and infiltration plans. Therefore, disguise is their only option to remain hidden and ensure the continuation of their species. Infiltrating the upper levels of human society serves a dual purpose. On one hand, it allows them to use elite human identities as protection, reducing the risk of exposure. On the other hand, it enables them to quietly control the core of human power and wealth, advancing their own species' interests in secret, such as exploiting Earth's scarce resources, shaping rules in their favor, and paving the way for their long-term development on this planet. Although reptilian technology is highly advanced, capable of perfectly mimicking human appearance, voice, body movements, and even emotional expression, making them indistinguishable from ordinary humans, there is one thing they can never fully disguise: the eyes. The physiological structure of reptilian eyes is fundamentally different from that of humans. This difference originates from the distinct evolutionary paths of the two species and cannot be forcibly replicated through technology. Specifically, there are three core differences. The first difference lies in the shape of the pupil. This is one of the most defining physiological traits of reptilians, and also the easiest to expose. Reptilian pupils are vertical, appearing as a thin, elongated slit. This is because reptilians, as natural predators, use vertical pupils to precisely focus at night and detect subtle movements of prey, while also allowing rapid contraction under strong light to protect their eyes. Human pupils, by contrast, are round. This structure is better suited for daytime activity, enabling us to capture a wide range of surrounding light and perceive a broader field of vision. More importantly, the muscular control mechanisms are completely different. In humans, pupil constriction and dilation are controlled by the sphincter and dilator muscles of the iris, resulting in smooth natural movements that dynamically adjust to changes in light. Reptilian vertical pupils, however, are controlled by a different set of muscles, and their contraction and expansion appear more rigid and mechanical. Even with technological simulation, they cannot achieve the same level of natural fluidity as human eyes. The second difference lies in iris texture. The iris patterns of human eyes are as unique as fingerprints. They are filled with complex fibers, spots, and folds, and they dynamically change with lighting conditions. For example, under strong light, the pupil contracts and the iris texture becomes more defined. Under low light, the pupil expands and the iris texture appears less distinct. This dynamic complexity is one of the most unique features of human eyes. Reptilian iris patterns, however, are much simpler and more uniform. They lack the intricate fibers and folds found in human irises and do not exhibit noticeable dynamic changes in response to light. Even if reptilians use advanced technology to simulate surface-level textures on the iris, they cannot fully replicate the complexity and dynamic nature of human irises. Upon close observation or under high-definition cameras, these flaws can easily be exposed. The third difference is in light reflection. Human eyes exhibit both corneal and iris reflections. When light hits the eye, it produces a natural luster, with reflection angles and intensity dynamically adjusting to lighting conditions, giving a vivid and lifelike appearance. For instance, under sunlight, the eyes display a soft sheen. Under artificial lighting, the pupils reflect subtle points of light. These are distinctive reflective characteristics of human eyes. Reptilian eye reflections, however, are entirely different. The light reflected from their eyes appears sharper and colder, lacking the natural luster of human eyes. It resembles reflections from glass or metal. Especially in strong lighting conditions, this difference becomes even more pronounced. Reptilian eyes reflect glaring points of light, forming a stark contrast with the natural reflections of human eyes. In fact, throughout history, there have been many alleged cases of eye exposure involving suspected reptilians, captured by observers and widely discussed online. While these cases cannot directly prove the existence of reptilians, they do suggest that reptilian eye disguises are not flawless and inevitably reveal certain inconsistencies. One of the most classic cases involves a top-tier billionaire. Media footage showed that during a private dinner event, this individual consistently avoided strong lighting around the eyes. During close conversations with others, his eyes appeared unusually rigid, lacking the lively sheen of normal human eyes. Some individuals who interacted with him at close range even claimed that his eyes looked cold, like emotionless glass spheres. Even more strangely, when reporters attempted to capture high-definition close-up footage of his face, his bodyguards forcibly intervened, stating that the billionaire does not like being filmed in high definition. This unusual behavior only fueled further speculation among observers. To solve this problem, the reptilians infiltrating the upper levels of human society rely on a lifeline for their eye disguise: the biophotosensitive film. Specifically, the biophotosensitive film has two core functions. The first function is to suppress the reptilian's natural vertical pupils. It adheres to the surface of the eyeball and, through a specialized bioelectric current, suppresses the contraction of the eye muscles, forcing the vertical pupil to present as a human-like round pupil. From the outside, it appears no different from that of an ordinary human. The second function is to simulate human iris texture and light reflection. The surface of the biophotosensitive film contains a special photosensitive material that can automatically mimic the texture, color, and reflective properties of a human iris based on changes in surrounding light. However, although long-term use of the biophotosensitive film allows reptilians to maintain their disguise and conceal their identity, this kind of forced physiological masking inevitably brings severe side effects. Among them, the most common and most easily noticed are abnormal blinking and eye inflammation. First, abnormal blinking. Although the biophotosensitive film is thin and well-fitted, it is still a foreign object that continuously irritates the mucous membrane on the surface of the reptilian eye, causing dryness, itchiness, and a persistent foreign body sensation. This discomfort forces reptilians to blink frequently to relieve it. However, their blinking is noticeably different from that of humans. Human blinking is typically even in frequency, natural in motion, and moderate in range. Reptilian blinking, on the other hand, is either excessively frequent or unnaturally rigid, with movements that are either too large or too stiff. In some cases, their eyeballs may even shift slightly during blinking, creating an unsettling appearance. In addition to abnormal blinking, eye inflammation is another common side effect of long-term use of the biophotosensitive film. The film damages the mucous membrane on the surface of the eye, leading to irritation and conditions such as conjunctivitis and keratitis. The visible symptoms include redness, increased discharge, sensitivity to light, and blurred vision. This is why many high-level reptilians always wear dark sunglasses during public appearances, even indoors. It is not for style or image, but to conceal the symptoms of eye inflammation and avoid drawing attention to abnormalities. If abnormal blinking and eye inflammation are the physiological cost of long-term disguise, then a physiological aversion to high-definition cameras is the behavioral flaw in their disguise. This aversion is not intentional, but an instinctive physiological response, because high-definition cameras pose a direct threat to the security of their disguise. We all know that high-definition cameras, especially 4K and 8K, have extremely high resolution and can magnify the finest details of an object. Even the slightest wrinkle or a tiny speck in the eye can be captured with clarity. Although the biophotosensitive film worn by reptilians can simulate human eye characteristics, it is not flawless. It cannot fully conceal the subtle differences in iris texture, cannot perfectly replicate the natural contraction and dilation of a human pupil, and cannot completely eliminate that cold, unnatural light reflection. Once reptilians are captured by high-definition cameras, these subtle flaws are instantly magnified and can easily be noticed by viewers. If these flaws are exposed, they can trigger public suspicion and may even lead to their identities being revealed. As a result, an aversion to high-definition cameras has become an instinctive physiological response for reptilians. During public appearances, they deliberately avoid high-definition cameras, preferring blurred footage or long-distance shots. During interviews, they frequently adjust their angles to prevent their eyes from directly facing the lens. They may even request that media outlets delete high-definition footage and retain only lower-quality versions. One of the most typical cases involves a well-known entrepreneur who, at a product launch event, explicitly required all media present to refrain from using high-definition cameras, allowing only standard cameras with a minimum shooting distance of 5 meters. At the time, some media outlets objected, arguing that high-definition footage would better showcase the new product. However, the entrepreneur's team firmly rejected these requests, citing privacy protection as the reason. But to any perceptive observer, it was clear that this was not about privacy at all. It was to prevent eye-related flaws from being captured by high-definition cameras. However, no matter how reptilians attempt to conceal the side effects caused by long-term use of the biophotosensitive film, these signs are still noticed. As a result, reptilians have subtly guided the emergence of colored contact lens culture within the global elite, rationalizing and normalizing their own methods of disguise. It is not difficult to observe that in recent years, more and more top global billionaires, politicians, and celebrities have begun wearing high-end colored contact lenses. They claim it is to enhance appearance, protect the eyes, or cover imperfections. But in reality, behind this trend lies, to a large extent, a reptilian agenda. By promoting the widespread use of colored contact lenses among elite circles, they are attempting to make their own disguise appear less conspicuous. Therefore, in the present day, we must maintain rational thinking at all times. When faced with abnormal behaviors and unexplained inconsistencies, there may indeed be unknown truths hidden beneath the surface. There is no need to blindly believe, nor to completely dismiss. Learning to observe and to think critically is what matters most.